Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Thinnest Veil podcast. I am Dr. Melissa Bird, your host, and I am so happy to have you here with the amazing, delightful, delicious, wonderful Meredith Yinger of She TV Media. And I met Meredith through the Passionistas Sisterhood that my friends Amy and Nancy run. And I got to tell you, Meredith and I ended up being a little bit of a house on fire. So I was very excited about it. Meredith, would you please introduce yourself to our listeners and tell them a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yes, I love that, and I've never been introduced as delicious before, so I'm really feeling that compliment. So thank you. I'm Meredith Yinger. I'm a filmmaker, documentarian, and owner of She TV Media, which is a full-service, female-led video production company dedicated to telling untold and empowering stories through commercials, documentaries, and narratives.
Listen, all the things.
Yeah, all the
One
things.
of the things that I really enjoy about getting to know you, also the light on my microphone. For those of you who are just listening and not seeing this, I feel like there's a little alien living. It's very funny.
It's
Sorry,
just sitting on top.
it's just sitting there. I was distracted. Okay. So, one of the things I loved about when we first talked is that you and I really connected on this idea of reproductive health and reproductive justice and
Mhm.
how are we telling the stories of people's reproductive lives? And um I'd love to know, I'd love for you to share with people, like, how did you make the decision to start this media company? And also, why are our reproductive lives so important to you?
Yeah, so She TV Media was ultimately born out of like the frustration that I had from working within the entertainment and media industry, just in terms of like the type of content that was being created, who was being spotlit, how we were telling these stories, and then also some not so great experiences, right? Like on set, in production and also just in that world. And I felt so frustrated and I was complaining about it. And I was like, okay, Meredith, you can complain till the cows come home, or you can do something about it. And so I really just wanted to start something where we would be creating a community, a collective of creatives, and tell untold and inspiring stories, and really incorporate women and minority voices into every single level of production, because I think that until we do that on a mass scale, we're going to be seeing the same types of content and the same old stereotypes that we have been forever. um, and then to lead into your other question, I think our rights just I feel obviously like the name She TV Media kind of gives it away, but I feel like the name came to me in a way to sort of reclaim the media and the narratives about women and how we're portrayed in this kind of like retro cute logo where it's like the old TV, where we're like reclaiming how things have been done before, and we're recreating new narratives, new set environments, new systems
Mhm.
that can, be more inclusive and be a little bit, of a rebel rouser. And I think that that kind of plays into my current documentary, like you're mentioning, which is Vulva La Revolution. And this documentary kind of fits into my bigger like vision for She TV Media, because it is so closely tied to just women's empowerment in general, and just like this revolution of empowering yourself and empowering other people in whatever way that looks like, right? Like not everyone is documentary makers and wants to do it this way. It can look so many different ways, but the same messaging stands. And I think until we like reclaim and stand up for each other and ourselves, we can really change the world.
Yeah, I think that's so true. And I think this is why you and I connect so well together because I love you're like, you can complain or you can do something about it. And I'm like, yes, like that has been my entire existence since I was
Yeah.
like 18 years old. Like I could sit around here and bitch and moan about the unfairness of how I've been treated by
Yeah.
the world, or I can actually do something about it. And I think
Yeah.
one of the things I really love about the work that you're doing and what you exemplify out in the world is you're doing it in your own way. And I think one of the things that always has really irritated me, particularly about progressive politics, but also about things in general, is like,
Mm,
well, you have to do it this one special way. And if you don't use the right language and you don't do this and you don't,
yeah.
then somehow you are an affront to the establishment or something. I don't know.
Mm,
One of the things I love about what you're doing is that you're really exemplifying, Meredith, like this idea that, protest comes in many forms. Standing up for the everybody comes in
mm,
many forms. And
mhm.
I would never think to start a media company, like I would rather die. But like some people wouldn't think to run for Congress, and yet here
Right.
we
But
are.
you're
They
doing,
would
yeah,
rather
you're
die, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
You're doing
Yeah.
something
And
that a
so I'm
lot of
doing that,
people,
right?
yeah, they're
And
too
so
scared or, it's too
yeah.
overwhelming.
And I would love to hear a little bit more about what has so you have this beautiful project called Vulva La Revolution,
Hmm.
right? That's right.
Yeah, Vulva Revolution.
Okay, I got it. Uh, Volvilla Revolution. And you're doing this because of what? What was it that pushed you to start talking about that in particular?
I think it's kind of been a lot of tiny moments and things that kind of led me to like a breaking point, I guess. And my breaking point was when I met Dr. Maria too, which is cool and crazy at the same time because I had experienced medical gaslighting, which I didn't even have a term for because it happened when I was in high school and still in college. And I feel like this has kind of been a relatively new term in the last like 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
And I had a heart condition, supraventricular tachycardia, that started when I was in, I think I was a sophomore in high school. And every doctor I went to, oh, and just so you know what that means, it's like basically my heart rate would triple or quadruple its normal rate. And so you
Well,
could feel it outside of my body.
wow,
And
that's bananas.
it was terrifying. I have a lot of anxiety because of it, but I think that I was like, obviously this isn't normal, this isn't okay, like something's wrong. And every doctor I went to was like, oh, it's just probably your hormones, you'll grow out of it, like it'll just go away. And
Mm.
then it didn't, and it happened so frequently that it was driving me nuts, and I would get really terrified that I was going to faint, or there's all these things that can happen. So um finally I I got to a doctor and was like, put a heart monitor on, put something, so that you can track this. And then of course I wore a heart monitor for a whole summer, super terrifying and not cool. I looked like I had an octopus like attached to
Yeah.
the front of me.
Yeah.
I felt like such a loser. Like all of these things just came into play in high school during when this was happening. And of course it didn't happen. Like I couldn't, it wouldn't, as soon as I would take the heart monitor off, it would happen. And so it was really hard to get people to believe me. And finally I was like, this is happening. I told them, I was like, if I walk out of this office right now, I guarantee you it will happen. And finally they hooked me up to a stress test at UCLA. And I just started walking, just regular walking on the treadmill, not doing anything crazy. And it starts going off, and like a slew of like 10 medical residents and students and doctors run in because they can see and hear how insane this is happening. And I'm like, I'm fine, I'm okay, but like, hello, this is what I've been telling you. And I feel like that was a very like that was a big chunk of my life when I had to deal with kind of advocating and trying to get people to believe me in that sense. I'm very fortunate that I got it fixed and I'm like, I'm okay and everything. But that was just like my first kind of experience of being, around all these educated people and being so intimidated to say something was even wrong, let alone like not question, like, oh my God, I'm crazy. Like maybe I'm making this happen to myself. Um, and that
Yeah,
was,
I think what you're talking about, Meredith, is so important because for millennia, women have been trained not to listen to their bodies, right? Like
hmm,
not really millennia, but probably the last since the Victorian era,
yeah, at least,
right?
right?
Don't listen to your body. Your body doesn't know. We know. All
Yeah,
these men know, right? Like all these external people know, but
yeah,
you don't really know what's happening in your body.
right.
And one of the things that, that happened to me, like I knew I needed a hysterectomy. Something was
Mm,
totally horribly wrong with my reproductive health. my reproductive system. And no one would believe they're, oh, you're so young. Don't you want kids? I'm like, yeah, I've been trying to have kids since I was 16. Turns out can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That it's just never going to happen. My kids come from my husband. They don't come from me. And,
Yeah.
I had to go through 5 different doctors to get one to believe me. And she still didn't believe me, but she could recognize that I was desperate enough and in enough pain. It
Mm,
was like, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to do the whole, you want oophorectomy, you want everything out? And I was
the
like, yeah,
whole
take
thing.
it all out. I don't want anything out.
Yeah.
She came into me in recovery and she said, you don't do anything half-assed, do you? And I said, no, not really. She
No.
said, she said, there's 4 things that can go wrong with the reproductive health system, and you had all 4 of them in spades.
Oh my
But
God.
it did like I had like 25 tumors in my uterus, but it had collapsed back into my pelvic cavity. So when they did any ultrasounds, they couldn't see anything because everything had fallen so far back into my pelvic cavity.
Oh
Like it
my
was
God.
just bananas. There were so many things wrong with me. And
Yeah.
but what I love about and I think the term medical gaslighting is so fascinating. Um,
Mm.
as you have this beautiful relationship with Dr. Maria, and as you've been exploring all these stories with people, what do you want people to understand about not just connecting to our bodies, but really standing up in revolution for what is happening to us?
Yeah, I mean, your story just is insane to me, but it's everyone that I'm talking to and through the research of this project has a similar story. And I think that that is so heartbreaking, but also so telling, right? Like this happens to more people than you think. We
Yeah.
just haven't talked about it or, been comfortable sharing, or there's all these things, right, that come into play as to like why this hasn't been mainstream or talked about in our close circles. And I think that with this project, I want people to understand, first of all, only 50% of our medical schools require training on sexual health. And then from there, only like 75% of medical trainees did not receive dedicated training on female genitalia and vulvar exams. So when you're coming into your doctor and you're having these issues and they're not believing you or whatever, it's probably because they don't know and they weren't trained on it. And we're trying not to be, I'm not trying to point fingers and say, this is a doctor's issue. Like, I'm trying to tell people this is a systemic issue on so many different levels, and you are not alone. You are not crazy. And if you know your body better than anyone else, and like don't listen to all of the narratives that have been, we've been indoctrinated with. If like you knew something was wrong, you stand up for yourself. And it's unfortunate that you have to be the advocate and you have to do the research and you have to say, hey, run these tests.
Yeah.
But it's because they don't know and they're not educated on this. And I think also the crazy thing that like blows my mind is not until 2016 did the NIH require that female lab rats be included in preclinical trial research. So if you are thinking about women's health in general, this is not just about vulvar care. This is not just about the vulva. This is about women's health in general. And we have so many different symptoms for heart attack, for all of these
Yeah.
other conditions, because we have not studied the female body. And 2016 was 10 years ago, people. I don't know if you understand how new that information is, but we know nothing. We are in the Wild West. We are just now starting to understand and to look into this. And so I feel like if you understand that, hopefully it takes a little bit of pressure off of yourself to say, oh my gosh, like I can't fix myself. There's something wrong. I'm broken. Like all of these things that we tell ourselves, it's like, no, the system is broken. The system needs to be fixed or
Yes.
a new one created. And that's just kind of where we're at. And so I want people to feel like empowered. Obviously, you're going to be enraged with this project because of all of this information that you're learning, but I really want people to channel that. And so that's kind of part of why we're building out, the movement around this film so that it is an ecosystem, so that there are organizations that you know of, so that there are places that you can kind of take this information and put it into action. If nothing else, than just starting with yourself.
God, listening to you just reminded me I was gaslit. I was medically gaslit for my knees. I knew something was wrong with my knees. Like I couldn't walk and they were locking up and it was really
Mm-hmm.
horrible. And
Mm-hmm.
I played volleyball and I was a skier and I was a runner and
Yeah.
I knew something was wrong. And my doctor was like, you just need to lose 40 pounds. And I was like, no, you need to get me x-rays. Like that's it.
Yes.
Like I was like, I need x-rays. And and I knew something was wrong. And
Hmm.
I went in for the follow-up and I thought they were going to give me like Synvesc or something, like they were just going to inject me with some stuff to get me through the next couple years. Because
Yeah.
I was 49.
Okay.
And I was
Wow.
like, let's just get me through a couple years so that I can have like 30-year knee replacements someday, like in my mid 50s, right? Let's
Yeah.
wait. And I walked in and it wasn't the regular doctor who had gaslit me, right?
Mm.
It was his resident and his
Oh.
resident. I was like, so are we doing like some sort of something or other? And he goes, no, I'm referring you to an orthopedic surgeon. You need your knees replaced. And I was like, huh, weird. I knew that,
Yeah.
right? Like I
Yeah.
knew that, but like, and now I've got new knees and I'm amazing and it's awesome. And yay,
Yeah.
I have
Bionic
30-year
woman.
knees. Yeah, I have 30-year knees. So I'm never gonna do it again because it was horrifying. But
Yeah.
although if you need one, get one because the aftermath is gorgeous after
Right.
recovery.
Once
But
you recover.
but I think so. Y- Even talking to you is reminding me of all these moments where I've been told, "Oh, honey, you're not.
Mm.
No, you're wrong. You just need to be thinner. You just need to
Hmm.
be, more patient with yourself. Whatever."
Hmm.
As you're collecting these stories, what is your hope with the work that you're doing with She TV Media? What's your hope? What's your big dreamy vision?
I mean, I honestly, for She TV Media as a whole, like I think this project is a really beautiful like jumping off point and foundation set for what I do want to accomplish. Because there are so many stories that aren't told, like this, and like the patient advocate stories that we're going into for the documentary. And I would love to create ongoing documentary content as well as become an incubator for other filmmakers and creatives, so that we can, start funding these types of projects and get them out into the world, and really just create a new sort of circuit. Because, as you know, the media and entertainment industry has completely changed, and the models all look different. And we realized, the theatrical release, the typical pipeline, is not sustainable, and it doesn't apply to independent filmmakers. So really trying to create a new like broader independent film community around this. But She TV Media, I hope it becomes, like a studio, like one of the big studios, but reimagined, where it is sort of a bringing the next group of folks along, with you, and really just making media more accessible and inclusive. Because that's something, like, I'm fortunate that I grew up in LA and I at least had, somewhat of an understanding growing up working in theater, doing commercials and acting. And I had like glimpses of sets, and I had, experience. Like we weren't a film family other than my dad used to sell B movies, so we always are obsessed with film, but we weren't like, these that I didn't come from a Scorsese or anything, but I think that film is such a beautiful medium and form of expression that it is such a travesty for how exclusive and how elitist it is, because it can change lives, and it can change your opinion on yourself, on other issues, especially in documentary film. And so I really just want to create something that is that inclusive, and creating the type of content that is representative of the folks watching and making it.
Yeah, I think there's something so powerful about film as a medium for outreach and protest
Mm-hmm.
and revolution and just this idea of getting voices out into the world that um
Yeah.
like I love what you said about being an incubator for creatives and creating this broader independent film community where folks who aren't normally let into the system can have an opportunity to create the system that they want to see.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you need as far as support goes? Like what do you need for to make this dream a reality?
Yeah, so we are currently fundraising for Vola Revolution. We are filming in batches. So as soon as we receive more funding, we are filming and like repeating that process just because we can't wait. As you know, time is of the essence, especially around this topic. So we are looking for sponsors. We have a bunch of different ways that you can be involved fiscally, and everything that you contribute to the film is tax deductible. So it is a tax write off for folks that are looking for that little added benefit. But there's a lot of other ways, to get involved if financially is not your MO, or you're not able to, dedicating, following us on social media, sharing our posts with a friend or five or someone, that might be interested, or an aligned organization, because we really are building out our ecosystem, right, of people that we're going to have involved with the nationwide screening tour, where we're creating programming around the screenings, in partnership with the She Angels Foundation. So there's just a lot of different ways people can be involved.
Mhm.
If you cannot or are not able to donate, or you are interested in donating your time, like there's so many different ways to partner with us. Um, so that's kind of what we need. We need numbers for this type of a project as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, and we'll put all that information of how people can connect with you in the show notes too. And one of the things, Meredith, too, that I want people to hear and remember is that, the collective power of coming together, like if 100 people donate $10,
Right.
that's $1,000, right? Like if
Yep.
we could just remember that it doesn't take, you don't have to be a gazillionaire to support Meredith's project. You
Mm-hmm.
have to support the vision in whatever way you can. So yes, like, subscribe, all the things on the socials, but also I really want us to, especially because so many of us are struggling financially right now, to remember that it's small things that lead to big wins. In
Yeah.
our house, because I'm married to an Army veteran, we call it small victories, right? Like,
Mm,
we count the small victories,
yeah.
and so I just really
Love
want to
that.
encourage people who are listening to remember that it's to support projects like this and make projects like this happen. You don't need, although it would be nice if someone, like Maria Shriver, or, say someone else like that,
Yeah,
wanted to come in and help support you.
totally.
That creating this sort of incredible opportunity to support with even 10 or $20
Hmm.
couple of times makes such a huge difference in people's lives, in creatives' lives like this. And so, um, say out loud where people can go and find out more information. Would you mind?
Yeah. So thank you. I mean, I believe in that so strongly, right? Everything stacks up. All of these are ripple effects as well, and these are the type of folks that we're going to need people to show up. We're going to need butts in seats. We're going to need people watching the film, sharing about it. So it does take everything, and every little bit counts and helps. So I'm very, very grateful, to you and everyone for spreading the word about what we're doing. And if you want to reach out, you can find us on our website, shetv.me, or reach out, on LinkedIn or Instagram, SheTV Media, or directly to me, Meredith Yinger. Happy to connect with you and spread the word.
Is there anything else we didn't cover that you want people to know about your awesome and amazing project?
I think I would just love to encourage people, especially at this dark time that we are in, that creatives and stories and the connection to humanity is more important now than ever. And by creating art and by finding ways to connect with each other, or learn about stories or ways of life that you might never have been exposed to, is how we stay human and how we stay empathetic, and how we create, relationships and community and hope, together. And it's very easy to get drowned out with the negativity and the news and everything that is happening. And I think the more that we can take a minute and realize that this is a person behind all of these things, and that all we have is each other,
Mm,
is really all that we can do. So supporting each other and just being there for each other is going to be the most radical move of all.
you are singing my song, sis. Singing my song. The last thing I want to talk about is I always ask people, I forget that I do this. So I'm so glad I remembered because I think this actually ties into finding the light in the darkness.
Mm,
Your favorite book
yes.
is
Oh yeah, I've got quite a lot, but
you listed Light is the New Black.
Light is the New Black, Rebecca Campbell. I love that. Oh my gosh, so many good quotes in that book. So many. I literally keep it like dog-eared by my bed, and if it's just like one of those mornings, you just flip through and you're like, okay, this light, the light workers, of the world, of the universe, need to unite and do what we can. I love that book. There's so many good books, though. Oh,
Her first book is one of my most favorite books I've ever read in my life. Every
really?
page I was just like, yes, yes. And her oracle cards are my favorite.
I don't actually have them, but I'm
Oh,
interested.
oh, Meredith, you have to get her oracle
I
cards. They're
know.
so good.
Wait, what
Mhm.
is your favorite book?
My favorite book of all time ever is The Secret Garden.
Oh,
It's my most favorite book ever. I reread it often.
wow.
I love that book so much. I think it's one of those, I love fairy tales and stories like that. And
Yeah.
um, there's something beautiful about that book that just,
Yeah.
oh, I love it so much. But I'm a big reader. So
Yeah.
like I
And
read a couple books a week.
oh
So
my gosh, you're a
yeah.
speed reader.
Yeah.
Holy moly. I love that. You should have your own book club too, because I would subscribe to this.
Oh my God. That would be, that would be a great idea.
And you could do like your little Dr. Melissa Bird stamp on, the books that
Yeah.
are part of
Yeah.
your book club.
Yeah. Yeah. That, Meredith, I love you for this idea. Thank you.
I'm full of ideas.
I'm all over this. Thanks. Um,
I love it.
Thank you so much for joining me today. And I would like everyone who's listening to know that part of the reason I wanted to talk to you today is because I really do think we need to be looking for the projects that light us on fire as we are also helping our communities through all this violence with ICE, right? Like
Hmm.
there's so much mutual aid we can engage in. There's so much for us to pay attention to, and finding the bright beacons of light amidst all of this sorrow is really important and critical. And that's why I love this project so much that you are working on, because I feel like it just gives me hope that we are going to continue with this storytelling in this really impactful and beautiful way. And that's why I wanted to tell my listeners about you and this project that you're working on, and also this vision, because I love what you said about staying human.
Mm,
I feel like right now so much of what we are being challenged with is to remember that we are humans being. We are
yeah.
human beings. We are
Hmm.
humans being in this world. And the
Yeah.
more we can connect with our own humanity and our shared humanity and
Yeah.
connect with our stories, I think the more we are going to be able to make it through
Yeah.
what is happening. And I just really appreciate you for your willingness to tell other people's stories and your own story, and to talk about how we can connect with beautiful projects like yours in the community. So thank you so much for being with me today, Meredith.
Oh, no, thank you. It was a true pleasure, and I appreciate and admire you and all that you are doing out in this world to make it a better place. So, thank you for having me, and I'm happy to come back.
Awesome. Hang tight. I am Dr. Melissa Bird, and you've been listening to the Thinnest Veil podcast. Y'all just go out there and raise some hell. That's like, in closing,
I love it.
follow Meredith, check out She TV, and also go out and raise some hell, because rebellion is really where it's at right now.
Amen.
I love y'all. Don't forget that you can find out more about my programs and workshops at drmelissabird.com. And if you are not following Bird Girl 1001 on social media, go on out and do it, because it is entertaining. And if you are interested in following my congressional campaign, you can find me at melissabirdforcongress.com. Thank you so much, Meredith. Thanks for
Thank
listening,
you.
y'all. I'm sure I'll be back with some other amazing podcast at some point. Okay, bye.
Bye.